The homestand opened with a bang, actually two big bangs, and a sweep of the Pirates. Then not one, but two near no-hitters, taking 2 of 3 from the Rockies. Mix in some late-inning magic, and the Marlins have won 2 in a row against the Dodgers. And today, the Fish are thinking sweep. Good morning, South Florida. Good morning, wherever you are. There's baseball to be played today. The final game of a 3-game series. The red-hot Marlins, who have taken the first 2 from the Los Angeles Dodgers, finish the series. Weather day in South Florida. Here in Miami, the school kids are in the house to learn about weather and watch some baseball. And it's a good day to be here for the Fish. Look at this. The Marlins, with their win last night, another come-from-behind win. Hey, I know it's early, but the Fish are at 15-7, the best record in the East. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. And what a homestand it has been. Not just this Dodgers series, but taking 2 of 3 of the Rockies and sweeping the Pirates.
Rich, there have been some exciting baseball, some exceptional play, and for the first time since 1999, the Marlins are trying to sweep the Dodgers here in this ballpark.
Now, the Marlins are doing it without Logan Morrison, who is out. Hanley Ramirez has been absent with his bat for most of this homestand. But Mike Stanton, who missed all of spring training, is starting to come around.
Not too often can you say a 21-year-old can carry a ball club, but Mike Stanton certainly can do that. He's done a little bit of everything on this homestand. You look at the average and the home runs. He's 9 for 26. On the year, he has 7 doubles. He's played a solid right field. Mike Stanton, you put him in the middle of the lineup, and he can accomplish a lot of things. With Hanley not hitting so well, Hanley's come on the last couple of games. Mike Stanton has been a big key.
Another key for the Marlins starting pitching. A couple of near no-nos on this homestand, and one of the guys is going today, and that's Anibal Sanchez.
Anibal Sanchez, a 4-1 win his last time out against the Rockies. Gave up that 9th inning single to Dexter Fowler that led things off. Sanchez with 4 complete games in his career. Of those 4, a no-hitter and 2 one-hitters.
So it's Sanchez against the Dodgers. The Marlins getting ready to finish off this series in the homestand. How do you wake up for a noon start? A little bit of coffee. Hello, Niner. Come on, everybody. Let's play some baseball. Final season in this big old football stadium. The Marlins and the Dodgers finish off a 3-game series. Early start, no problem for Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. Gentlemen.
Yeah, easy for you to say. 12-10 start is unusual. Wake up! 12-10 is unusual for. We got a game today coming up.
Sorry about that.
And it's unusual midweek. You're used to it on a Saturday, but a Wednesday game at 12 o'clock. What kind of effect could that have?
Well, you usually get the West Coast teams that have to fly all the way back to the West Coast when you get these 12-10 starts. You know what? Like Wes Helm said before the game, it doesn't happen very often, and I don't think it really affects the guys much at all.
The players had the game last night, probably didn't leave it around 11 o'clock, but they are ready to go, and so is the skip for this finale of the series.
The manager is easy. It's on the players it's hard. But, manager are pretty much, it's pretty much the same for me and the coaching staff.
Quick turnaround, but...
Yeah, quick turnaround, and we get here early anyway, every day. And it's more for the players.
It doesn't bother us because we don't have them that often. It's actually really good because we have an off day Thursday. So when you have a 12 o'clock game, it gives you that extra little bit of off day. So you almost have 2 off days before you play your next game. So it's definitely a treat. I think if you had them a lot, it would kind of get old, especially when it starts getting hot. But right now, we hadn't had a lot of day games, so it's kind of a treat to get that 12 o'clock game, hopefully come out with a win, and then have almost 2 days off.
I don't think it messes up any routine. You just got to get home tonight, get to sleep, and get to the ballpark and do whatever you need to do to prepare for the game. So I don't think it really does anything to a routine-wise. You just have to do it a little bit earlier.
All right, so what do the Marlins have to do to pull off this sweep here today?
Keep doing what they're doing, playing good baseball, and get the opportunities from everyone through the lineup. We've had 9 guys so far have game-winning RBIs in this the first month of the season. So who's going to step up today and do it?
Team effort, that's been the key for the Marlins so far. Thanks to this terrific start. They're going after their 16th win already, and still plenty of games to go in April. Road trips coming up, Cincinnati, St. Louis next, but right here, can the Marlins make it an 8-1 homestand? 11 out of 13. We'll find out next.
Is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, and by AT&T, by Checkers, and by All Year Cooling. Today's comfort, yesterday's prices. Sun Life Stadium, a bright place for a noon start. Glare and sun will be an issue for infielders, outfielders, and catchers. Not so much for pitchers. Sandoval Sanchez very comfortable on this mound. He's thrown a no-hitter and a one-hitter on this mound.
Yeah, Sanchez over his career has been pretty consistent in the daytime. 7-8 his record, but a nice ERA in the 3s. Yeah, the glare off the seats, a lot of white shirts, the high sky, the brightness makes it difficult for everybody.
Tony Gwynn Jr. leads it off, and Sanchez fires a fastball high. The Dodgers going with Tony Gwynn Jr., Jamie Carroll, Andre Ethier to open up this first inning. Gwynn getting the start in left field, and he bangs one on the ground. Gabby Sanchez over to get it and steps on the bag. Here's the Dodgers lineup. Don Mattingly still without a lot of veterans. So Tony Gwynn Jr. is in left. Jamie Carroll is still at short with Rafael Furcal on the DL. Then the hot hitters, Andre Ethier and Matt Kemp. James Loney slides up to fifth. Rob Barajas behind the plate. Aaron Miles is still at third base. Casey Blake actually was in the hospital last night with that infection in his elbow. Ivan DeJesus Jr. is at second base. Juan Uribe is still unavailable to play with a quadriceps strain. He is available to pinch hit. And, of course, Billingsley is in the 9 spot.
Good to see Sanchez still with a live fastball and good movement. That ball on Gwynn really ran inside.
Breaking ball to Carroll, who's played very well for the Dodgers. They envisioned him as sort of a utility guy. But with the loss of Furcal, he's been out at shortstop. Sends one out to the Marlins shortstop, and Hanley makes the catch. Sanchez has 2 outs.
All right, we talked about the bright sky, the glare off the seats. The defense is going to have to deal with that. Bonifacio, Coghlan, and Stanton in the Marlins outfield. Around the horn, Dobbs, Hanley, Omar Infante, and Gabby over first base, and Brett Hayes will be handling the catching duties, giving John Buck the day off.
Andre Ethier, who is setting history with every base hit, it seems, on this 3-game series, takes a big cut at a Sanchez fastball, and it's 0-1. Ethier has banged out a hit in both games, an RBI double in the first inning last night, a first inning single on Monday. So a 23-game hit streak, the longest in Major League history for the month of April.
Yeah, each game he's gotten that hit out of the way quickly, his first time at bat.
Sanchez 0-2 coming. Breaking ball missed outside. The streak for Ethier, the all-time April streaks, he's at 23. He has passed Joe Torre. The all-time Dodger streak, period, is Willie Davis at 31 games. Fly ball left field. That's Bonifacio out there this afternoon, and he makes the catch. A 9-pitch inning for Anibal Sanchez, and we're underway in the sun in Miami.
oprimiendo el botón del zap.
All right, here come the Fish now in a scoreless game in the bottom of the first. The Marlins at 15-7, having won 7 of 8. Chris Coghlan has made a nice transition into center field. Omar Infante at second. Hanley Ramirez got a start last night after a night off, and it looks like his stroke is back. Gabby Sanchez, a terrific series. Same with Mike Stanton. Greg Dobbs at third base. Emilio Bonifacio at left. Brett Hayes behind the plate. Anibal Sanchez in the 9 spot. against Chad Billingsley, the stocky right-hander for the Dodgers. And his fastball sizzles in high. It's 1-0.
Stocky right-hander who the Marlins haven't seen since 2008, but he's 4-0 with a 1.64 ERA in his career against the Fish.
Coughlin pulls a ground ball towards second to Jesus. Flips to first. And Billingsley has an out to open up his first inning.
Well, let's see how the Dodgers deal with the bright sky defensively. Tony Gwynn Jr. in left. Kemp and Ethier fill out the outfield. Aaron Miles at third. Jamie Carroll, the scrappy veterans, on the left side. Ivan De Jesus and Loney over on the right side. And all three games behind the plate is Rod Barajas.
Here's Omar Infante. He has 8 hits on the homestand. And it's had some real big hits to help win ball games. His bases loaded triple on Sunday against the Rockies was a key hit. And of course he had the game winner against the Dodgers in game 1 of the series. Billingsley's 1-0 pitch on the outside corner. Dana Demuth calling balls and strikes. Kerwin Danley, Paul Nauert, Doug Eddings on the bases. Billy has the water gun in the seats. Here's the 1-1 pitch to Infante. The one hit that Infante has in this series was that game winner, that line drive over Jerry Sands' head in left field. Cracks a ground ball to third. Aaron Miles across the diamond and in time. Let's scout Chad Billingsley.
All right, we'll give you a little scouting report. He's a young veteran, 26 years old, but he's won 61 games. Good life on his heat. Fastball moves. He has quality other 3 pitches and a nice late breaking slider for Billingsley.
One of the storylines on this homestand for the Marlins is the fact that Hanley Ramirez's bat was AWOL and a real struggle. So much so that the Marlins sat him down on Monday night until late in the game. During the comeback against the Dodgers, Edwin Rodriguez brought him up in a pinch hitting spot and he knocked a single into right field. And that seemed to really flip a switch in Hanley, because last night he was 2 for 4 with 2 solid base hits.
You know, it's one of those things, Rich, that Hanley Ramirez and his batting coach John Maley have bantered back and forth with the open stance. The hands a little lower, but it took the average to dip below 200 before Hanley was really sold on it.
Billingsley jammed him on that fastball. Loney has room, and he makes the catch. So Chad Billingsley, an 8-pitch inning. Both right-handers are on so far. Vegas. Our weather brought to you by All Year Cooling, 87 degrees. Marlins are headed to Cincinnati, where 61 degrees awaits for a Friday night matchup against the Reds. And then on to St. Louis for 4 against the Cardinals. Matt Kemp now. He and Ethier have been the producers in the middle of the Dodgers lineup in the absence of Casey Blake, Juan Uribe, and even for Call, who's actually on the disabled list.
We've talked about that, Rich, during this series. With those guys out, as you approach the Dodgers, this is the part where you have to be careful. Now, nobody's on base, so you go after them, but these are the guys you don't want to have hurt you. Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier.
Sanchez, you see the run on that changeup. It misses inside.
There aren't many pitches that Anibal Sanchez can throw straight.
Which is why a lot of times you will see his catcher, whether it's John Buck or Brett Hayes, simply put the glove right down the middle of the plate instead of on a corner, because of the run he'll get to either side. Just like that, 95 from Sanchez, a guy that has undergone so much physically and emotionally in his major league career. Early in the Boston Red Sox organization, he had Tommy John surgery. Of course, he and Hanley Ramirez came in the Beckett and the Lowell trade. He walks Matt Kemp. Then in 2006, he pitched a no-hitter against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 2007, his shoulder didn't feel right. Here's the last pitch on Fox Tracks. It's right at the bottom of the zone. Labrum surgery kept him out 07 and 08. Still battled through the shoulder in 09. And finally last year he had a complete season. 32 starts and throw over to first, and Kemp is back.
Got to be real careful with Kemp over there. He had 19 steals last year, but 34 and 35 the 2 years previous. And I got a feeling with the kind of year he's off to, and with Davey Lopes over there helping him at first base, he'll be back up in the 30s in stolen bases this year.
And we've talked about it during the series. Davey Lopes' arrival here in Los Angeles, obviously a big piece of Dodger history. But he really transformed the Philadelphia Phillies running game when he was there, and had a profound effect on Jason Worth, who credited Lopes with a lot of his success. And the Dodgers are hoping that Lopes has that same effect on guys like Kemp and Ethier. And it's not so much here's how to steal a base. It's here's how to be a professional. Here's how to be prepared every day. Because last year was a struggle for Kemp. His average dipped to 249. His on base percentage down to 310. He's at first. Loney's up. And he takes down low.
The Dodgers, too, have shown in this series they'll run. They had a couple of stolen bases in the first game of the series.
The Dodgers are 20 of 28 in stolen bases. They are fourth. There's a strike. The other part of that puzzle between Kemp and Lopes is the fact that Dave Stewart, a former Oakland Athletic great, former Dodger pitcher, is Kemp's agent and a very good friend of Davey Lopes.
It all comes together.
Loney with a count 1-1, and Sanchez doing a good job of getting Kemp dirty.
Well, that's good to see, because if Kemp has intentions of stealing, he's going to have to earn it.
We've seen it firsthand with the Phillies the last 4 years, Tommy. It wasn't just the Jimmy Rollins and the Shane Victorinos, but the ability for Utley, the ability for Worth, some of the guys that you don't consider speedsters, became very efficient base stealers. Sanchez ready, a 1-1 coming. Kemp not running, and Loney cracks it foul wide of third. Loney is on a nice run for a guy that came into this series hitting below 200. He was 4 for 4 last night, and he singled in his last at bat on Monday night, so he has hits in his last 5 at bats.
And look at that, over the last 3 games, 6 for 13, yet the average has just crept over 200. He's at 204. that gives you an idea where he was.
1-2. Towards second, Infante out there, and Hanley has to eat it. Loney is aboard at first. Sanchez gets a ground ball, and there's one out.
It's a good trade-off, though, because Kemp a much swifter and faster base runner than Loney is. So you know you don't have a double play ball, so you make sure you get the one out at second base, and that's the way the Marlins played it.
Well, the Marlins return home after the road trip. They've got a Super Saturday coming up on the 7th, and the concert is T-Pain and Jay Sean. Marlins and Nationals at 7:10. Marlin fans get a Florida Marlins commemorative poster courtesy of Majestic Athletic. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. Here's the veteran backstop Rod Barajas, and he takes a strike. Russell Martin, many people thought, would be the Dodger catcher for the next 10 years. His production the last 2 years took a big dip, and the Dodgers did not want to pay him what he felt he was due. And so Martin is now having a good year for the New York Yankees. And Barajas was brought in. 35-year-old veteran.
I think a little bit of a wake-up call for Russell Martin. He's gotten himself in great shape, and he's off to a tremendous start for the Yankees.
This is a veteran Dodger team, and you can translate, I guess, to an aging Dodger team in some spots. The heart of the ball club, Kemp, Ethier, Loney, pretty young, but you get on the outskirts of that. Jamie Carroll's 37. Barajas, the starting catcher, is 35.
Yeah, even if you had Blake and Uribe in the lineup, too.
Casey Blake, 37. There's a great article on SportsIllustrated.com, the column by Tom Verducci this morning, about aging players in baseball and how it used to be, 5, 6 years ago, guys 36, 37, 38, no problem. They still were producing. That's not happening in baseball anymore. In fact,
There's
Jamie,
a lot of things you could read into why. And I have not seen the article by Tom Verducci. A couple of things popped into my head. Nowadays, more players are getting here sooner. So by the time they're 35, 36, they played a lot of ball. Whereas in years past, a lot of minor league experience, you got up to the big leagues when you were 25, 26. I think the schedule has something to do with it nowadays, too.
well, of course, the performance-enhancing drugs, the elephant in the room, and with the testing that Major League Baseball has implemented and the steps they've taken over the last few years, Verducci cites that as, in all probability, a big reason why that guys are not able to produce as they used to at that age. He says in his article there are 12 36 and older players this year with enough plate appearances to qualify for the batting title, and only 2 rate among the top 80 players in ranked by OPS. And one of them is in uniform for the Dodgers, and it's Jamie Carroll. The other is Chipper Jones, who's coming off an injury and is in great shape. Little pop-up, Infante's out, and he reaches up and makes the catch. So Barajas is out.
Yeah, Chipper Jones last night for the Braves. Atlanta Braves are playing in San Diego. They beat the Padres 8-2. Chipper with a home run, a couple of RBIs, tied Mickey Mantle in that RBI, career RBI department.
I think the other factor in terms of age, and that's injury, and the Dodgers are going through that right now. For calls on the disabled list, Uribe is not available to play every day with a quad. Here's Aaron Miles. Miles is all of 34 as he stands in. The other is Casey Blake, and that took a scary turn for the Dodgers last night as Miles takes a strike. Blake was sent to the hospital last night. A fever had spiked. He injured the bursa sac in his left, or one of his elbows, making a diving defensive play, and it apparently has become infected. Released from the hospital, and Don Mattingly told everyone this morning that it may be a week or two before Casey Blake is available. He will travel with the team back to Los Angeles after the ball game.
Well, they're going to have to make a decision. either play with 24 guys or place Casey Blake on the disabled list.
Because in this series, Mattingly's hands really have been tied late in ball games. Unable to go to Blake, unable to put Uribe in defensively. 0-2 pitch coming to Miles.
Hey, you got your other catcher, Deoner Navarro. He pinch hit in this series, but that's it.
There's the first-year skipper. And, of course, no stranger to the Dodgers. Been on Joe Torre's staff 2.5 years as the Dodger hitting coach. 4 years with Torre in New York. Miles flips up a foul ball out of play. Aaron Miles has been a survivor. It took him 8 years in the minor leagues to get to the big leagues, and now he's on a run of 9 years in the big leagues. The 2003 Cubs, the first team that he got to the big leagues with. Last year he had a great time playing for Tony La Russa in St. Louis. He's La Russa's type of guy.
Versatile, goes out and plays hard. I'm sure he's the type of guy that wherever he played, he had to prove himself every year.
Very good defensively at all 3 infield spots. Miles a switch hitter. James Loney at first. Sanchez had an 8-pitch first inning. This is pitch number 23 here in the second.
Yeah, the Dodgers made him work here in this second inning because of the daytime, the early start. You get the feeling if the pitch counts get up for both pitchers, we'll see the bullpens for the Dodgers and the Marlins come into play in this game.
Full count, 2 outs. Loney's on the move. Miles hits a chopper, and Sanchez runs it down. Flips to Sanchez in time. On a ball to Gabby to get that last out. Ford fantasy auction presented by Tommy Bahama this year on the 19th against the Cubs, and you can come and enjoy dinner here. We've got a lot of great packages. Play golf with Tommy Hutton. That's a good one. Go up with a Goodyear Blimp with John Buck. How about the road trip this year to Wrigley Field with dinner at Harry Carey's, rooftop seats for one of the games as well. All kinds of terrific auction items. It's a live auction during the telecast, and you can be our dinner guest. As Gabby Sanchez stands in, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Go to marlins.com/fantasy for tickets to the events. You can come in and get a box seat, a gourmet ballpark dinner, all you can eat. Gabby sends one out of play, and as well a meet and greet and a photo opportunity not only with a Marlins player but also with Jeff Conine, Mr. Marlin.
Well, that's a fabulous prize. Gabby Sanchez, by the way, that home run he hit off Clayton Kershaw last night. We don't get the distances here, but on one of the national shows, they had it at 422 feet.
Ground ball short. Carroll makes the throw. Well, Gabby grew up coming to games here. He knows if you hit a ball in this part of the park, you better really hit it.
And he said, even though he knew he hit it well, he told us after the game he was sprinting up the line to first base because you never know in this ballpark, especially in that area. Just got it over that Budweiser sign. That's a long way away.
Well, here's Mike Stanton, and he's delivered some big hits on the homestand. Hard ground ball in the left field, a base hit. And Stanton, who missed almost all of spring training with a quad injury, and then the first week to 10 days of the regular season with a hamstring injury, just rounding into form.
Yeah, you see him every game now have better at bats, lay off more bad pitches, and really have a game plan when he goes up to hit.
Greg Dobbs now. The fact that the Marlins are at 15-7 without one of their better hitters, Logan Morrison, who's on the disabled list at least for another week, and without a regular third baseman. Greg Dobbs has been one of the guys that has picked up playing time. Marlins have used 4 guys at third base, with Wes Helms getting a start last night. Dobbs, a slumping Donnie Murphy has played, and Emilio Bonifacio has been there.
Think about it, the 15-7 start, not much out of third, and with the exception of the last couple of days, hardly anything out of Hanley Ramirez at short.
One 0 pitch. And a strike on the inside corner. Dobbs, who made the club in spring with just an incredible spring, pinch hit after pinch hit. Really, he said he reverted back to the style and the swing that he had back in 2008 when he was an enormous part of the Phillies World Championship. He was the best pinch hitter in baseball that year. He hit .355 in a pinch.
Put a lot of work into it, not only in spring training, but leading up to spring training, and trying to get that swing back to where it was.
Dobbs has also put a lot of work in with Perry Hill, the Marlins infield instructor. In fact, this morning, neither team took batting practice or infield for a noon start after a night game.
That's because there were weather balloons out there.
Yeah, but with the weather balloons, Greg Dobbs was out there at third base taking ground balls, working with Perry Hill. Fastball up, and it's 2-2. There he is. He puts his pants on one leg at a time, Tommy. Only when he does, he makes gold gloves. Here's the 2-2 coming. Dobbs fouls it back. Of course, Hill was here when the Marlins had a gold glove infield.
One of the best infields I think I've ever seen defensively, with Mike Lowell at third, Alex Gonzalez in short, Luis Castillo at second, and Derek Lee at first.
Gonzalez the only one that hasn't won a gold glove. Castillo so enamored of Hill that he gave Hill his first gold glove.
The man they call Boom, Perry Hill. You know, I'm watching Chad Billingsley out of Defiance High School in Ohio. See, when Jonathan Neese pitches, you say he's out of the same high school as Chad Billingsley. See, we don't say Billingsley from the same high school as Jonathan Neese of the Mets.
Defiance, Ohio, a population of just over 16,000. There's a ground ball going to sneak into right field. Stanton will stop there. Ethier was quick to get it. The Marlins have a couple of hits with one out in the second.
Boy, you love it as a left-handed hitter. This was a good battle by Greg Dobbs. He found off some tough pitches. You get a pitch you can pull. You know, with the runner at first base, there's a little more room over on that right side. Dobbs was able to find it with a ground ball. Not hit all that differently than the one Dexter Fowler hit off Anibal Sanchez the other night.
That was in the 9th inning. That broke up Sanchez no-hitter. It busted Fowler's bat. And the Rockies had their only hit of the night. Now Bonifacio, he's been a key to this Marlins start. Hits it on the button out to center field, and it lands in front of Kemp. It's going to load the bases for Brett Hayes. 3 consecutive hits.
Aggressive approach by Bonifacio. He gets that first pitch fastball, and it was in a great hitting spot. Up a little bit, about belt high, and he didn't waste any time. Runners had to hold. Kemp's a pretty good center fielder. We saw his arm the other night. And as a runner, you don't want to get doubled up. And he came on at that ball like he might have a chance, so you have to hold your ground. And once you see it drop, then you take off.
For Billingsley, he is near the bottom of the order. And he gets backup catcher Brett Hayes. But look at what backup catcher Brett Hayes has done this year. 6 for 10, 3 doubles, and a homer. Fastball, a strike. John Buck, of course, signed to a 3-year contract in the offseason, getting the bulk of the duty behind the plate. But Hayes, both defensively and obviously offensively, when he's had the chance to start, has contributed.
And Brett Hayes, a big Dodger follower.
Hayes drives it to left field. It's deep. Gwynn is back. He looks. It's off the wall. Stanton will score. Dobbs to third. And the Marlins get just 1 run out of a ball off the wall. Maybe not the best of reads at second base by Greg Dobbs.
I think Dobbs has the best angle. You can understand the runner at first base. There's another hanger. And Brett Hayes, who grew up in Pasadena, went to Notre Dame High School out there in Southern California, big Dodger fan, almost has himself a grand slam. The runner's hold, but I think it's second. You get a better idea. You have to watch Gwynn. As soon as Gwynn peels away from the wall, you know he's not going to make the catch. If you don't see the ball, you watch the outfielder.
So it goes as a single, a run across, the bags are loaded, and Sanchez is up. Not a good hitter. Sanchez takes a strike. See his career average. Billingsley thinking strikeout. And of course he'd take a ground ball here with his infield looking for 2. Sanchez shortens the bunt. And that brought the attention of the Dodgers. Sanchez is not a very good bunter either.
Not the greatest of fielders, not the best of bunters. And the longest single you may see all year from Brett Hayes.
Sanchez lines it foul, and Billingsley's out in front 1-2.
Billingsley knows right here, and with the pitcher up, if he can get a strikeout, that he can sneak out of this inning. Then he still has to get cocky. He's on deck, but he has a chance to get out of this inning, giving up just the 1 run. And for him right now, that would be a bonus.
Outside, and it's 2-2. You got great speed out at second with Bonifacio. Dobbs is at third. Hayes is at first. Hayes runs well. Got him. So Sanchez is down, and it's up to Chris Coughlin to make this inning pay off any further. Patrick Show. Weekdays on FSN. Tommy was up early to watch Dan Patrick and his whole gang up there. I know McLovin is a big Marlins fan now. 9 a.m.
And McLovin just a front runner. He loves the Marlins. They're in first place now.
Hey, everybody's welcome on the wagon, Tommy. 9 a.m. on FSN.
I caught of it as much as I could before I had to leave to come down to the ballpark today.
Here's Coughlin now. He bounced to second back in the first. Change up from Billingsley, misses low. It's 1-0.
This is one of those ABs early in the game, but it's a moment that a base hit by Coughlin, great momentum now for the Marlins. If Billingsley gets Coughlin out, all of a sudden the Dodgers feel pretty good about the inning Billingsley has had.
Coughlin 3 homers on this homestand. Fastball for a strike. Chris, of course, the knee injury last year. Rehabbed it in the offseason. Got to spring training. The knee was okay, but the arm wasn't. His right shoulder, as he tried to make the transition to center field, got sore very quickly. And it wasn't until the second week of the regular season that some of his arm strength has started to come back.
The one thing we know, having watched Chris Coughlin this third year, he'll have a patient at bat. He's going to make Billingsley throw strikes. Coughlin's rookie year, when he was rookie of the year, in 09, his on-base percentage was .390.
Fouls it back. And the count's 2-2 with 2 outs. If you just happened by, Marlins and Dodgers finishing up a 3-game series. Chad Billingsley making his 6th start as he has pitched by innings at 31 now. He's never lost to the Marlins in 6 starts. He's got an ERA of 1.64 and he's 4-0. But he hasn't faced this bunch since 2008. Coughlin, a line drive, base hit, down the line. Dobbs will score. Bonifacio will score. Here comes Hayes. They will send him, and he will score. Coughlin empties the bases.
Momentum shift. Marlins.
I told you Brett Hayes runs well. He's a very athletic catcher, and he scores all the way from first.
2 strikes. Not a bad pitch, but up a little bit. It's going to be our Checkers double of the game. And let's add Checkers bases clearing double of the game. Chris Coughlin now with 16 RBIs from that leadoff spot. Put it in the right spot, and from first base, Brett Hayes was able to score.
Here's Infante with Coughlin in scoring position. He bounced to third his first time up. That's not easy to do, Tommy. Drive in 16 runs from the leadoff spot in what, 4 weeks?
Well, he leads the club in RBIs.
And he's tied for the club lead in home runs. He and Logan Morrison, with 4 homers each, are the top home run hitters for this club. Billingsley misses up and looks a little unnerved right now.
What was the note we had last year? The Marlins got 8 home runs altogether from left-handed hitters the entire season. So already Morrison and Coughlin with 8 combined.
Dobbs has a home run as well.
9. They have more. Thanks for that, Rich.
Cousins has a home run as well.
10.
Ground ball up the middle. Carroll to his left. He has it and makes the play. But the Marlins get a big hit from Chris Coughlin. A 3-run double. A parade of singles. And then Coughlin empties the bases. broadcast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Anibal Sanchez now has a 4-0 lead. Dodgers in the third. Ivan DeJesus Jr., Chad Billingsley, and Tony Gwynn Jr. To Hopper to Hanley, who's had some throwing issues, but not on this one. And as we speculated, Tommy, maybe a resurgence at the plate will help Hanley in the field.
Yeah, and part of Perry Hill carrying over because Hanley Ramirez shading up the middle. Look at where he's playing. He's in great position, and that's right where the ground ball was off the bat of DeJesus.
Billingsley now takes a fastball for a strike. Perry Hill, an infield instructor that actually goes out and puts marks on the infield for his infielders, depending on who's on the mound, what pitches are being thrown.
And a good pace right now by Sanchez. You like to see that, like to see him come out after being given the 4-run lead.
Billingsley goes down. So the first time through the order, Sanchez gives up only the walk to Matt Kemp. And it's back to the top of the order and Tony Gwynn Jr. Dodgers have had rookie Jerry Sands out in left field, and he's provided a little bit of an offensive spark in this series. Sands 4 for 8 in the series with a couple of doubles. Gwynn, a better defender, has more speed, but certainly does not have the pop. He takes a strike.
Looked like he was taking all the way, but you do have to be alive for Gwynn to drop down a bunt.
One of the biggest challenges for Gwynn at the big league level is getting on base with that speed. You hear it so often with fast players. Remember, we talked about a young Michael Bourne that way, Emilio Bonifacio on this ball club.
And Bourne has made that nice transition from his days with the Phillies to going to Houston, getting an opportunity. He's become a better on-base guy.
Cameron Maben, a guy that the Marlins had, now in San Diego.
Padres are hoping for that from Maben.
They had hoped for that from Gwynn, who was a Padre, after spending 3 years in Milwaukee. Sanchez misses down low. Career on-base percentage coming into the season of just .304. And a career average .244. Pulls it foul. Of course, you have to also live up to the expectations of the name. One of the greatest pure hitters ever to play the game, his father.
Right now, he's just trying to live up to his uncle, Chris.
Got him. Anibal Sanchez 1-2-3 through the Dodgers in the third. Hanley Ramirez is coming up with the Marlins on top, 4-0. So far, we check in with Craig Minervini.
Hey, thank you, Rich, and good afternoon again, everybody. Logan Morrison was hoping to come back on the short side of the 15-day trip to the DL. He's missing his 7th game today with that strained arch, but he was telling us today that the Marlins really want to be very careful with him because of the tenderness, and with the ligament being tender in that left foot, if he were to have a problem with it, it could be a much longer situation. So what Logan told us today was basically they want him to really spend a 3-week getaway from returning to at least action on the Major League diamond, not the 2 weeks that he was hoping for. He had sort of a whatever type approach, as you might expect. That would put him back, if they stay to that timetable, as Hanley hits the ground ball, somewhere around that May 13th game against Washington. But as usual, he's making good of a tough situation. The cast that he had on that left foot was autographed and pinstriped by his teammates, and you know his dad passed away due to lung cancer in the off season. Well, he put it on eBay, and you can actually bid on this on eBay. Go to eBay, type in Logan Morrison's cast, and right now we hear it's up to $201.99. 9 days to go to bid on it. We'll update that for you too, even through the road trip. All right.
There's a one hopper, it looks like, and Miles throws it across the diamond. The Dodgers wish it was Blake in there. And Gabby Sanchez is out.
Yeah, Lomo tweeting that he was pleased at the first day bids on that cast. That's a good play by Aaron Miles. He's able to grab this scramble up. Look at that, just snow coning that hard hit ball by Gabby, and then complete the play.
Here is Mike Stanton. The American Lung Association will be the beneficiary of the funds raised for that. That is Morrison's charity of choice. Mike Stanton with a base hit back in the 2nd inning. Marlins have a Southern California flavor on their roster, and 2 guys from the same high school in the starting lineup of this one.
Yeah, each producing base hits in that 2nd inning.
Mike Stanton and Brett Hayes out of Notre Dame High School, Sherman Oaks, California. Stanton takes a strike when those 2 arrive at Dodger Stadium over the summer. They'll be friends, family, alum.
They had a nice contingent in the right field bleachers last year.
Both of them, and Hayes is 5 years older than Stanton, both of them played football there as well, and both were wide receivers. They wore the same number. Of course, Stanton was recruited by USC to play cornerback and wide receiver. Keep in mind, he's 6'5", 240. And he swings and misses. 1-2-3 inning for Billingsley. 4-0 Fish. Tickets of America. Which National League West opponent do you fear most? Diamondbacks, Rockies, Dodgers, Padres, Gigantes. 789-789. Standard rates apply. Right now, Tommy, if you were to vote in that poll, having just seen the Colorado Rockies, would it be Jim Tracy's Colorado Rockies?
It would be a toss-up between them, and you always know that when you play the Giants, you have to deal with that pitching staff. Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum, Madison Bumgarner.
Giants have scuffled a little bit of late.
Yeah, they have. So have the Dodgers in getting base hits. They have 18 hits so far this series, and that kind of goes along with the Marlins having allowed the fewest hits in the major leagues.
Down goes Carroll. Sanchez is cruising here as he strikes out Jamie Carroll. Let's flip the phone. Our AT&T trivia question arrives with a Dodger flavor on weather day. How many rainouts in Dodger Stadium history? Now, my partner Tommy Hutton came up as a Dodger, and your father worked as an usher
for a long time, about 15 years.
So
let me just say, not too many. And is that in L.A., including the Coliseum?
I don't think,
Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, just Dodger Stadium.
Which they moved into in 1962.
Don't think it includes the Coliseum. Here's Ethier. Well, Sanchez has been sharp. Ethier flied out to left. Is only a bat, and a breaking ball misses down low. It's 2-1.
I thought it was interesting, Rich. You mentioned the longest hitting streak in Los Angeles Dodger history. Willie Davis is 31. Ethier just a couple away from Paul LaDuca's 25, which is the second longest in LA history.
That's amazing. With all the great players that the Dodgers have had, all the speedy players that they've had, you would think they'd have a few hitting streaks in the 30s. Maury Wills. Liner into center field. Dodgers have their first hit, and Ethier has extended his streak to 24 games, so he's one shy of Paul LaDuca and 7 away from the club record of Willie Davis, and that was back in 1969.
Well, the longest streak in the major leagues last year was 23 by Josh Hamilton, so all of a sudden 24 for Ethier now. I think the only game he was hitless was opening day.
Matt Kemp now. Sanchez pounds him with a fastball, and it's 0-1. Sanchez has struck out 3, has walked 1.
You know, the incredible thought, and we all have it as baseball people. You see a nice streak like Ethier's 24, and then you say he's not even halfway to the Joe DiMaggio 56-game streak.
It's a foul ball, and the count's 0-2. DiMaggio had a few ball games in which he was down to his last at bat before he extended it. And as much pressure as DiMaggio felt as he continued in his hit streak, imagine what it would be like in this day and age of electronic media.
Yeah, in 1941. People would find out about it, obviously, if they were listening to a Yankees game, or they would look at the box scores the next day.
Swing and a miss. Kemp goes down. 4 strikeouts for Sanchez. I read a terrific article on the DiMaggio streak in the offseason, and his father, of course, from San Francisco, would be calling the San Francisco Chronicle for updates as they got on the ticker or on the wire how his son Joe would do. And of course the DiMaggio's with a restaurant down on Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And apparently that was the place to be during the streak, because if Joe got a hit, the party was on at DiMaggio's.
Because Dad would know right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now you'd find out through tweets and highlights and 24-hour sports shows.
For DiMaggio, it was a lot of room service and try not to go outside. Ball's hit well. Stanton trying to cut it off. He does. Ethier racing around second. Loney has another hit in this series. That's his 6th hit in his last 7 at bats. So the Dodgers are set up at the corners with 2 outs. Fiesta Friday's coming up. A Jiffy Lube Fiesta Friday on the 6th. The Nationals are here for a 3-game series. Pick up the Marlins 4 for $50 4-pack. Get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas. 2 game day programs starting at $54. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com.
Yeah, the Dodgers pleased at seeing Loney starting to swing the bat the way he has the last 2 days.
And now here is Barajas, who was 0 for 7 in the series. Sanchez would love a ground ball here. Good job by Hayes to block it, and it's 1-0. Odd day for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Here they are in South Florida. They had their 3rd baseman in the hospital last night, Casey Blake. He's out with the elbow infection and should return home with the team. Barajas hits a fly ball to left and deep and gone. 3-run shot. Rod Barajas, his 5th already this season, and just like that, the Dodgers are right back in it.
Yeah, we talked about it last night. Barajas has that ability to launch, has that kind of swing, and that's his 5th home run. He's tied with Kemp for the club lead in home runs. But just like that, with one swing, the Dodgers are right in this thing. Look like a backup slider, a little hanging curveball, one of those 2, but right in the wheelhouse of Barajas. And he made Sanchez pay.
And that just got over the wall and left. Ball's carrying pretty well here this afternoon. Miles takes outside. Aaron Miles is 0 for 1. Third home run that Sanchez has given up on the season. Neither of these 2 starters give up home runs that easily, Sanchez or Billingsley. Billingsley gave up just 8 last year. Little flare. Hanley is there and makes the catch. But the Dodgers, with one swing, are back within a run. Rod Barajas goes deep. It's 4-3. Sports Florida is brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh by T-Mobile, America's largest 4G network, and by Nissan. Get to a Nissan dealer for great deals on innovation you can count on. Innovation for all. In Miami this afternoon, gorgeous day, weather day. A lot of kids out of school for good reason. Our Subway, bottom of the fourth inning.
Been kind of a game of big innings so far, Rich. Marlins had a 4-run inning in the second, and the Dodgers put up 3 last inning.
Greg Dobbs takes inside. A lot of different colors around the ballpark because the kids, many from the schools, wearing the same shirts, same colors. Dobbs had a base hit in the second inning, which was the big inning for the Marlins. Fish got 4 runs that inning. Stanton, Dobbs, Bonifacio, and Brett Hayes all with singles. Then a 2-out, 3-run double by Chris Coghlan. Dobbs couldn't hold up on the sharp breaking ball from Chad Billingsley.
The Marlins put a little dent into Billingsley's daytime ERA. 52 day games, his ERA is 2.92. Always a guy that has gotten a pitch count up. Not many complete games, just 3 complete games in his career.
Good changeup. This is his 6th year in the Dodger rotation. And while the Dodgers do not have the core of their team locked up, Ethier, Kemp, Loney, they did sign Billingsley to a contract through 2014. A 3-year, $36 million contract.
Well, he's been an all-star. He was in 2009. He won 16 games in 2008. He's been steady.
You mentioned Defiance, Ohio, and Jonathan Neese also coming out of there. Billingsley misses, and Dobbs is aboard, a leadoff walk. All right, I'm going to say 13 games have been rained out.
That's funny. I was going to say between 10 and 12.
Dodger Stadium history. 17.
Oh, 17. Last time, though, look at that. In 2000, 11 years ago.
It never rains in Southern California, does it?
Let's see, 17. Well, we don't get the rainouts. We actually probably get as few as most. But we get the delays come August and September.
Bonifacio went after that ball, according to the third base umpire, Doug Eddings.
I mean, they don't know how to act in L.A. when they get a rainout.
Do they even have a tarp?
I think so. They had trouble with that in San Diego one time.
Dobbs is at first. Bonifacio had a single his first time up.
I think years ago at Jack Murphy Stadium, later became Qualcomm. They had trouble finding the tarp.
Yeah, you are right. The Marlins lead all of baseball in rain delays, but that will change next year with a new ballpark with a roof way inside on Bonifacio. It's 1-2. Ground ball out there, dropped there, but the out is called. De Jesus on the transfer lost the ball, so Dobbs is out. I don't think the Dodgers were going to double up one of the fastest men in baseball in Bonifacio.
Yeah, I think a veteran shortstop wouldn't even think about making the transfer and think about a throw because there was no play at all. But he had caught the ball. Dobbs was ready to get him had there been a double play throw.
And here comes Hayes now.
Let's see, Brett Hayes now 7 for 11
with 5 RBIs. 3 doubles.
He could very easily have had a fourth double.
Yes.
On the last ball he hit. Such a Dodger fan that he asked me first game of this series, he goes, do you think Vin Scully made the trip?
What a thrill for those guys, Stanton and Hayes, to go back to Los Angeles as they did last year and have Vin Scully call one of their games. They dove into the notable alumni section of Notre Dame High School. There are a couple other big leaguers, Brendan Ryan and Chris Dickerson, who are playing in the big leagues. Bonifacio is a threat to run. And he's going. Hayes is swinging. And he popped it up. Shallow center. Kemp comes on and makes the catch. Of course, we interviewed just last week another Notre Dame alum who's going into the Hall of Fame, and that's Pat Gillick, going in as a general manager. But my goodness, I mean, actors, athletes. You've got, I did not know that Jamie Dixon, the head coach of the University of Pittsburgh, and his late sister Maggie Dixon were Notre Dame grads. Terry Donahue, the former
How about actors?
UCLA coach. Kirsten Dunst.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cassavetes, a director. Ed Begley Jr. There you go. Sanchez fouls it back. How about Jerry Mathers? Ring a bell?
The Beav. Jerry Mathers, the Beaver.
Sanchez, a fly ball to the right. Ethier is over. And he makes the catch. Marlins done in the fourth. We played 4-3 fish. And Tommy mentioned San Diego, and our producer John Sulzer dug into the archives. This was a night in '93 with the Marlins in San Diego. They had to use the tarp, and a skunk lived in the tarp, which brought the skunk on the field.
Well, if you were listening to the pregame show tonight, you heard Joe McElvain talking about the skunk that makes its home in the tarp here. And they never used the tarp. They had to use the tarp today.
That was Jay Randolph, the former television voice of the Marlins.
Back in the day.
Ivan DeJesus Jr., Chad Billingsley, Tony Gwynn Jr. against Anibal Sanchez. And, of course, the skunk.
I'm assuming that the Skunk was uprooted today.
Watch the cameraman.
Nobody wants any part of him.
Oh, no.
He's coming and running around here, and you see all the fielders running away from him.
Hey, there he goes. Look out. Oh, there goes that camera guy.
Liner into center field, and DeJesus has a base hit to lead off the 5th for the Dodgers. We've got to get Conine's reaction on that because he was on that ball club. Maybe on the postgame we'll find out if Conine was able to meet the Skunk.
This was an inning that Anibal Sanchez wanted to have himself an easy inning with DeJesus, then the pitcher, but he hung a breaking ball to DeJesus. He banged it into center for a base hit. Now he's going to have to work a little bit.
And Billingsley at the plate, obviously trying to move him up. Shortens the bunt, drops it down. It's a great bunt. Hayes calls for it and makes the play. So the Dodgers have a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Let's look at the Marlins schedule, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. This finishes off the series and the homestand. Travel day tomorrow in Cincinnati. Weather will be cool. Let's hope that all the weather in the Midwest will calm down by the time the Marlins get to St. Louis. As the month of May rolls around on Sunday, a 4-game series in St. Louis begins on Monday the 2nd. You see the pitching matchups. Javi Vasquez will open for the Fish as he tries to continue to improve after a so-so start.
And get yourself ready for that Saturday matchup. Josh Johnson and Edinson Volquez.
Johnson starting on Saturday means that JJ will have 2 starts.
Yeah, he'll pitch the final game in St. Louis. An odd time for the Sunday game in Cincinnati.
Really?
It's a 4 o'clock start.
We've been told that the Flying Pig Marathon is in Cincinnati.
So we've been uprooted by the Flying Pigs. Is Craig running in that?
Craig runs from one point to another, but no marathons.
I am considering it.
Yeah.
My people are looking into see how long it is.
Yeah, how seriously?
Well, I'm not looking at it very seriously, but Marlins Live is looking into it. The show.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
0-2 to Tony Gwynn Jr. Sanchez misses outside. Well, it's just a short hop from Cincinnati to St. Louis, so a 4 o'clock start.
Not too bad at all.
Give Tommy time for lunch at the Montgomery Inn before the game on Sunday.
It's a good idea.
Get some of that Grater's ice cream as well. To first, Gabby's got it, and he'll step on the bag. And Quinn is retired, and now Sanchez has to get Jamie Carroll to hold on to this 4-3 lead.
We've talked often about the improvement last year to this year and Gabby Sanchez defensively at first base, and I think that's just going to get better and better every year. He works hard, he has good instincts, he has good hands.
Guy that was a catcher and a third baseman in college at the University of Miami.
And in an emergency, he is Edwin Rodriguez's third catcher. A dire emergency. Guess in a dire emergency, you'd like to have Duffy Dyer as your catcher.
Jamie Carroll is lined out and struck out. Fly ball center. Coughlin is there, and Sanchez holds on to the lead. Halfway through in Miami, Marlins up 4-3. out. World's most dangerous tape room working hard in the afternoon here in Miami. 4-3 ball game. Anibal Sanchez and the Fish on top, trying to sweep the Dodgers. And the Marlins have the top of their order coming to the plate. Chris Coghlan, Omar Infante, Hanley Ramirez against Chad Billingsley. Coghlan hits a sharp ground ball out to DeJesus. Now between innings, Anibal Sanchez had a long talk. He's at 74 pitches.
But I think he's out of the game because the bullpen's busy. Looked like there were some coaches and Edwin talking to him.
Is it a physical issue, you think, with 74 pitches? Because
it's warm this afternoon. Certainly not like it gets here in July and August.
He's gone 5 innings.
I would say more of a fatigue thing. The bullpen's in pretty good shape, but he's still throwing well.
There's an off day tomorrow, so you can use the pen as much as you like. That ball's hit the left and hit pretty well. Gwynn, very good out there, runs it down. And Billingsley has a couple quick outs to open up the 5th.
And of course the Marlins, with the Phillies losing last night in Arizona, Marlins come into play today in first place with a 15-7 record.
Edwin Rodriguez has been another reason why the Marlins have gotten off to a good start. I think a lot of people focus on the bullpen, some of the young hitters, the timely hitting, the rotation with JJ, Nolasco, Sanchez. But Edwin Rodriguez deserves some credit and some national attention.
You know, Anibal Sanchez had a 10-pitch inning last inning as well.
And the yanks that one foul.
The area where Hanley, and I will say, hit the ball well his last time up. The area where he's really struggled, you see the average where it is. But against right-handers this year, just 8 for 56. It's about 150.
Popped it up. Barajas in pursuit with Miles. A 5-pitch inning for Billingsley, who's thrown only 60 pitches in his 5 innings of work. Marlins on top of the Dodgers. And a little bit of a turn in this ball game. Anibal Sanchez is out after 5 innings. And Mike Dunn is in. And we will try to get word if there's a physical issue with Sanchez. You see the numbers for Dunn have been outstanding. This is his 9th appearance. One of the factors, you talked about fatigue, Tommy, and the heat, is Sanchez's last start, of course, was 123 pitch, complete game, 1-hit shutout.
That's right, one of the highest totals of his career. So 5 solid innings. The bullpen, which leads the major leagues, comes into play. Mike Dunn, the first one out of the chute with his good fastball and slider. And we've told you a little bit about Mike, who came over from the Braves, originally drafted by the Yankees as an outfielder. So a very good fielder out there. He plays his position well and also has pretty good stuff.
Comes right into the heart of the order. Ethier, Kemp, and Loney. Dunn misses inside to Andre Ethier. 24 straight now for Ethier with a single in the 4th. The longest April hitting streak in Major League Baseball history. 7 shy of the all-time Dodger record, and that's Brooklyn and Los Angeles. Willie Davis, 31 back in 1969. 1-1 coming from Dunn. Good high fastball.
Used to call Willie Davis the 3 dog because he ran so fast. He had those long strides and he wore the number 3.
One, 2. Check swing. No swing, says Doug Eddings. Close, but no swing. Now that was a swing. And we have the best audio man in the business in our truck. We have microphones all over the ballpark. And on occasion, we will pick up something that we didn't really want you to hear. So we apologize for what you just heard. We do not apologize, however, for Craig Minervini. Craig?
You don't have to. I will, though. Thank you, Rich. With Craig Setzer, meteorologist at CBS 4. It was weather day today. Always draws a big crowd. Where's that weather balloon these days?
Yeah, that weather balloon, that's the big crowd pleaser, huh? It went up. Everybody was thinking, is it going to hit the scoreboard there and get hung up? That would be a disaster.
Didn't do that. Will it come down at some point?
Yeah, it gets big as a house and then pops and comes down in some field. Some alligator will probably chew on it for a while.
What about weather day? What do you think resonates with the crowd that comes to see it?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's good to get the kids out here to enjoy 2 great things. 1, talking about science, which I'm big on, and 2, enjoying a great Marlins game, which everybody's thrilled about.
Yeah, we got a big crowd out here today, and fortunately the weather held off because there were some sprinkles.
That is the biggest fear, is that there'll be bad weather on weather day, because here we are open air and stuff. If it starts raining or something, we have no plan. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Quick weather question. How are we looking this summer? Hurricanes, what are they saying?
Well, we're a little bit due, but let's just hope we get through another good year.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot. You and your team.
Thank you.
They did a great job out here today, each and every year. Guys, back up to you.
Craig again refusing to go up in the weather balloon this year.
Now I have an interesting thought about next year on weather day.
I know where you're going.
That weather balloon, they'll either have to have it on a day when the retractable dome is open, or they'll have to open it quickly, let the balloon go up, and then close it.
Kemp has walked and struck out. 2-2 coming from Dunn. Over Dunn's head, Infante backhand, quick throw, but not in time to get the speedy Matt Kemp. And an infield single. Just to bring you up to speed on the latest construction on the Marlins' new ballpark. On time, on budget. There's a look at it. I think there's about 20,000 blue seats in now. All the steel has been put in place for the roof. The fabric is being attached to the roof. And the Marlins are hopeful that by the end of this season, into September and early October, fans will be able to get into the new ballpark and take a look at their seats. But every day brings something new and exciting down there. That's to me, the coolest thing will be that right there. The downtown Miami skyline at night is as colorful and bright as any. and you'll get to see it from that ballpark, whether the roof is open or closed.
Yeah, I think if you've ever watched CSI Miami, you know that. And you're right, open or closed, you'll see that skyline.
James Loney, 6 hits in his last 7 at-bats in this series. All of them have been singles.
Mike Dunn has come in here throwing some very live fastballs. He threw a fastball by Ethier. Kemp got the infield base hit. Talked about Dunn when he went from outfielder to pitcher. He was a starter then for a couple of years in the minor leagues.
Rod Barajas, who had a 3-run homer, is on deck. Well, it was a trade that the Marlins made after Dan Uggla turned down a 4-year, $48 million contract. The Marlins felt that was a fair deal. Uggla wanted more. And so Uggla, heading into his last year of arbitration, the Marlins sent him to Atlanta and received Omar Infante, who's been terrific out there at second base, and Mike Dunn, who has Kemp picked off. Sanchez's throw bounces off of Hanley's glove, and Kemp returns to first.
It could have been worse. Kemp, a very interesting decision on his part. I like the way Gabby comes and gets the ball. Kemp puts the brakes on because he knows he's going to be nailed at second base. Watch Kemp. Here comes Gabby off the bag. Even before the throw is unloaded, Kemp has put the brakes on and is thinking about going back to first base. As it turned out, he would have made it at second.
As odd as that is,
so no harm, no foul.
There's no error on the play.
No error. And
now Kemp is running. Hayes' throw. And he's in there on a wild pitch.
And I guess on a day where the Miami Heat plays later tonight, no harm, no foul, makes sense. That time, Kemp took off on the wild pitch, just squirted away far enough. By the time Brett Hayes got it and made the throw, Kemp got himself to second.
But the Dodgers have the tying run in scoring position with 1 out here in the 6th inning. Los Angeles started this road trip at Wrigley Field. They took 2 of 3 from the Cubs. Arrived here on Monday night, and the Marlins on Monday and on last night with come from behind wins. He went around.
So here on weather day, the Dodgers have had some interesting weather changes on this road trip.
Cold in Chicago. Been in the 80s all week here in Miami. Mujica getting ready. Loney steps out. Dunn misses outside. Three and 2. Loney out of Missouri City, Texas. This is his 6th year with the Dodgers. Fastball threw it by him. Mike Dunn reared back and brought 94 miles an hour. 2 outs.
This is some lively stuff. High heat. Loney can't get it. Ethier couldn't get the fastball. So the 2 outs in this inning, a couple of good left-handed hitters have swung through Mike Dunn fastballs.
Of course, the Marlins last year had 25 blown saves by their bullpen, first in the National League. And so that was topic A in the offseason for Larry Beinfest and Michael Hill. And they've added some very good arms. Dunn, one of them. Ryan Webb, Edward Mujica from the Padres. Randy Choate as the left-handed specialist. And Dunn as a power lefty who can get both lefties and righties out.
Yeah, showed that good slider on that first pitch to Barajas. Barajas with that 3-run homer. That was his first hit of this series.
Another fastball, another strike. It's 0-2. Barajas having an odd season in that he's hitting just 189, but as Tommy pointed out, his 5 homers has him tied with Kemp for the team lead. Oh, 2.
Jumped that one up to 95. Had a good swing. He had a better swing at that. You see that as a catcher, you may want to come back with a slider. If you come back with the fastball, you want it up and you want to crowd him with it because he's starting to get on it.
Dunn is not a guy that throws a lot of changeups. Against right-handed hitters, that sharp slider tends to be the pitch that he uses off the fastball.
Well, he came back with another fastball. Tucks that front shoulder in nicely. And then just uncoils with 94, 95 consistently.
Nice look on Exmo. Kemp's in scoring position. 2 outs. And down goes Barajas. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Mike Dunn. Gabby Sanchez coming up. And the Marlins holding a 1-run lead. A 3-game weekend series against the Reds, and then 4 in St. Louis against the St. Louis Cardinals. Back at home against Washington and Philadelphia. Javier Vasquez against Travis Wood on Friday. Great matchup on Saturday. Josh Johnson, Edinson Volquez, Bronson Arroyo, the Key West native, against Ricky Nolasco on Sunday. As Tommy pointed out, Sunday is a 4 o'clock start. 4-3 here, bottom 6. Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, and Greg Dobbs, and Chad Billingsley comfortable at 61 pitches right now.
A very manageable pitch count for Billingsley.
He misses outside with a breaking ball. Gabby twice has bounced to the left side, once to short, once to third. Couple homers on the homestand and 3 doubles as well. Liner out to DeJesus. And there's 1 out here in the 6th. Ryan Webb starts to loosen up in the Marlins pen. And here comes Stanton. Mike has singled and struck out. He has 10 hits on the homestand. The Marlins, of course, opened the homestand sweeping the Pirates, who had just won a road series in Cincinnati before they arrived here. And then took 2 of 3 from the Colorado Rockies. And the Rockies left here after the Marlins took 2 of 3 from them. And Colorado has played well in their series and is now 16-7.
Hey, they got 2 home runs from Todd Helton last night.
Billingsley misses outside.
Good numbers against the Los Angeles Dodgers for Mike Stanton.
Stan, of course, at Dodger Stadium had those the home runs last year, including the one that landed in the catcher's glove in the bullpen in left field.
That was a great shot.
It was one of the most amazing things I've seen in a ballpark.
Glove was just there in the baseball bag.
And Stan's home run went right in the glove. Mike walks.
Well, I tell you what, it looked like Billingsley wanted no part of Mike Stanton. Chad Billingsley, Rich, over the last few years, you go back to 07, has 54 wins, and that's 7th in the National League, 7th most wins.
Of course, we went in depth with the Notre Dame high school alum. A little research on Defiance, Ohio. You said Jonathan Neese. Chad Renicky, who was pitched with Oakland and San Diego, is at AAA with Cincinnati. I'm surprised that you, being the NASCAR fan, didn't know that Sam Hornish Jr. is from Defiance, Ohio.
He hasn't been on the top of his game lately.
Speaking of AAA for Cincinnati, how about Dontrell Willis right now? The work that Brian Price, the Reds pitching coach, put in with him in the spring training, suddenly Dontrell in AAA seems to have recaptured the magic.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Both Dontrell Willis and Jeremy Hermida, former Marlins, were in spring camp with the Reds on minor league contracts. Hermida has been called up. He hasn't gotten a hit, but he's been called up. He's been up about 10 days. And you were looking at the numbers yesterday of Dontrell Willis, and he's been terrific in AAA.
Stanton's at first, Dobbs at the plate. And Billingsley misses up. Even though he's at a comfortable 69 pitches, should Billingsley waver a bit, you would expect the Dodger bullpen to quickly jump into action.
You have that situation, too, with Dobbs up there. Remember, he snuck a base hit through the right side with a runner on first back in the 2nd inning. So he had that hole open to him. Same situation here.
Dobbs hitting .333. And it's a strike.
Pitch or swing? That's what Greg Dobbs wants to know.
I think it's on the pitch. Although it almost sounded like a foul tip.
It did.
Bonifacio is on deck. Billingsley, a lollipop curveball for a strike, came in at 76.
He's used that effectively today. Not often, but he used it to get Mike Stanton back in the 3rd inning.
Stanton's at first. Dobbs lines it foul. Oh, our producer John Solser is so good. There it was. The sound effect was great. You could hear it go plop right in the glove. There's that Stanton homer at Dodger Stadium. See, we've unloaded all the barrels. Final game of this series, final game of the homestand. We had the skunk coming out of the tarp in San Diego. Barajas calling for a fastball. Billingsley steps out.
And Rich, all those things coming from our crew that got here about 6 a.m. this morning.
all geeked up on Dunkin' Donuts and coffee. Fastball lined just foul.
No Red Bull left at the local 7-Eleven.
You and I are like finely tuned athletes in terms of diet, sleep, workout regimen.
You're saying the crew is not?
Well, different hours, Tommy. Different conditions as well. Crew left here about 11:45 last night. It's down low. The count's full at 3-2. Crew rolled in at about 6:30, 7 o'clock for a noon start.
And by the way, let's see if Mike Stanton's running 3-2 with 1 out.
Haven't seen Mike do too much of that with his leg issues, but he's running better. See Loney holding him. Not running.
And I think that's the answer. Edwin just trying to protect that.
All right, here they are.
Here
Tommy.
comes the crew this morning.
Yep, a lot of that. A lot of that. A little sugar in there. There he is. Chief donut eater, John Tuitu.
I love the cup holder.
He's the only cameraman in Major League Baseball that has his own endorsement deal with Dunkin' Donuts.
A duct tape cup holder.
Full count. Stands at first. Billingsley and Dobbs locked up in a good duel here.
Well, he didn't go last time. I would guess he wouldn't be running this time then either.
And a great at bat by Dobbs, who works the walk, and that'll bring up Bonifacio with runners first and second and 1 out.
Greg Dobbs has been on base all 3 times, a single and then back-to-back walks off Billingsley.
Let's see if that starts the Dodger bullpen up. 3 walks for Billingsley now. Ken Howell is the bullpen coach down there. See Vicente Padilla walking around. Nobody is throwing yet. But Padilla's got the towel in his hand, so he may be loosening up.
Like Mike McDougall starting to get loose.
Rick Honeycutt buying time on the mound. Marlin fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office, starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game to receive a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Get in the game. It is McDougall.
Saw McDougall last night for a couple of quick outs. He came into the game, got Greg Dobbs pinch hitting to hit into a double play.
Bonifacio is 1 for 2, 10 hits on the homestand for Bonifacio, 6 runs scored. Edwin Rodriguez has been able to play Bonifacio everywhere. Center field, left field, right field, third base, second base. He can play shortstop. And so far, offensively, he has held up. Ball and a strike. Stanton and Dobbs, 1-1 coming. Breaking ball, ground ball. De Jesus out there, the relay, not in time. Bonifacio beats it. It's the second time we've seen Greg Dobbs going to second with a good slide, as he got a piece of Jamie Carroll.
Again, very tough to double up Bonifacio. De Jesus and the shortstop Jamie Carroll try. But watch Bonifacio get up the line. He's quick. And the Dodgers not able to do that, and that allows the Marlins to extend the inning a little bit, gives them one more shot.
Boy, Dobbs really stretched the limit on both of those slides in terms of being able to make contact with the bag, but also getting a piece of the guy making the pivot. Hayes RBI single and is popped out. Excellent speed at first. Stanton is at third. Hayes takes a strike.
You know, Brett Hayes on the early season and with his occasional starts is 4 for 4 now with runners in scoring position.
Well, there's one there. Stanton who walked. Bonifacio could score on a ball in the gap with his speed. And Scott Cousins has emerged on deck. That's the pitcher's spot. Bottom 6.
Brett Hayes making his 3rd start of the year.
Inside. Marlins have another catcher, John Baker, who continues to rehab from Tommy John surgery. Bake continues to make progress. Bake has played some first base, and so when he's ready to go, you have the option of maybe carrying 3 if you wanted to use Bake as a pinch hitter and a backup catcher as well, with John Buck getting most of the starts right now. Here's the 1-1. Runner goes. Hayes hits it deep. Curling. Foul.
Hey, what Brett Hayes has had some terrific swings. Even the ball he hit in the 4th inning, a fly ball to center, he just got under. And he launched that ball back in the 2nd off the top of the wall. He adjusts, gets his hands in just a little too fast and pulled it foul.
Bonifacio was on the move on that pitch, so at 1-2, likelihood is he'll be running again. He's running, and Hayes out in front of it, yanks it foul.
Got a feeling you might not see that fastball again with the kind of swing he had before. And Billingsley came back with that slow curve.
The scoring in bunches. Marlins put 4 on the board at the bottom of the 2nd. Hayes drove in 1 with a ball off the top of the wall and left. Coughlin drove in 3 with a bases loaded double, and then Rob Barajas with a 3-run homer for the Dodgers in the 4th, and that's it. And Hayes got a piece. Barajas squeezes. Billingsley finishes the 6th. It's on to the 7th, 4-3. on top of the Dodgers. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Thank you, Rich. Earlier in the game, we talked about Logan Morrison's cast, and we also mentioned he'll probably be spending maybe 3 weeks away from the club total, the 2 weeks on the DL, maybe an additional week, give that left arch strain some more time to heal. So maybe back mid-May, May 13th, something like that. Now, we mentioned that his cast he put on eBay. He had it pinstriped in Marlin colors. He had his teammates sign it. And for charity, you can purchase that cast on eBay. When we started talking about this, it was just under $200. We understand the bid is now up to $315, the power of television. And you have 9 days to get in on it. Proceeds go to the American Cancer Association. As you all know, Logan's father, we got a chance to meet last year, succumbed to lung cancer in December of 2010. And Logan's been doing a bunch of off-the-field charities to raise money for a great cause. So you can get involved, too. You get a cast. You only order a few days, so you don't even need Febreze for it. Guys?
All right, Craig. Good stuff. Ryan Webb takes over for Mike Dunn. Anibal Sanchez with a 5-inning start. Dunn handled the 6th. And now Webb is given the 7th.
Got the bottom third of the order. Miles DeJesus, then the pitcher spot. We'll see a pinch hitter. Makes it a little easier to work with your bullpen when you know Mattingly really doesn't, unless he uses Navarro, switch hitter, doesn't have a left-handed bat over there on his bench.
And of course his bench is thin right now. The Dodgers are going to have to make a decision here in the next 24 hours whether to put Casey Blake on the disabled list. Liner into left, and Miles is aboard again. Aaron Miles 1 for 3. The plucky infielder out of Antioch, California. There comes DeJesus.
They have some decisions for Don Mattingly to make. How does he play this with Miles at first? Contact hitter at the plate, DeJesus.
Jan Lexus gives us our leaders of the game on the road. Dodgers hitting at 271. Look on jamlexus.com. Webb with a fastball. Of course, Blake is on the lineup card but not available. Juan Uribe is available to pinch hit, but probably not ready to play out in the field.
And a lot of it depends on what happens here. Let's say DeJesus reaches, then he could still use Billingsley to drop down a bunt. We saw him drop down a nice sacrifice bunt in the 5th inning.
Dodgers have the bullpen ready, though Billingsley at 84 pitches probably has another inning left in him. The bunt sails up on one hop. Gabby has it, and if they're going to bunt there, they're not going to use Billingsley to hit. And so the Dodgers have the tying run in Miles out at second, and here comes Uribe.
When you have a guy who can hit and get big hits the way Juan Uribe can, but you know he's not quite 100% running and moving around, you really have to pick your spots to get him up there, and this is one of those spots for Mattingly to get Uribe in the game.
Craig has more on this situation. Craig?
Guys, talking to Don Mattingly, those sore left quads, he thought he'd be back in a game or two. It's been a problem, and they said, boy, we don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he really can only jog maybe a little more, so it'll be a stretch to see if he hits something soft, if he can run and see how hard he does run the first base.
And Webb just balked Miles to third. That's a huge play, because now a ground ball through the infield or a fly ball of any depth, and the Dodgers have tied it. Let's see what he did.
He started to lean. And get set, and you can't do that when your foot's on the pitching rubber. It was very slight, but that does change the complexion. The infield comes in now.
So Uribe with the infield in, and Webb's fastball at 98 miles an hour darts outside.
I think that was a fastball of frustration after being charged with a balk.
runs right down the middle. Uribe had a big year last year. Career high 85 runs driven in, 24 homers.
Talked about all the big hits and home runs he got for the Giants.
Breaking ball. There's a liner, and it's fair. And Uribe, jogging around first, will trot into second with an RBI double. The Dodgers have come all the way back to tie the game.
An interesting thought, and who knows if he gets the same pitch. And now Mattingly has to go to a pinch runner. There's a hanging slider. If this ball gets over the head of Dobbs without a runner at third, the fact that Uribe can't run 100%, he's probably playing back, and he's back a little bit more. I don't know if he catches it. Either way, the Dodgers have tied it.
Randy St. Clair has arrived. Well, single by Miles. Ted Lilly comes in as a pinch runner. Dodgers don't want to burn a position player because they don't have that many available. So Lilly will pinch run. Tony Gwynn Jr. is up. Randy Choate in the bullpen. He is probably getting ready for Andre Ethier.
Yeah, you don't want to burn Randy Choate against Gwynn because you have Carroll after that, but then Ethier is after Jamie Carroll.
Gwynn is a good bunter. Lines one into center field. Coughlin is there. Makes the catch. Gwynn hit it on the button. Webb has his second out, and now Carroll's the guy that he wants to get. Blake Hawksworth in the Dodgers pen. Carroll's lined out, flied out, struck out. Lilly at second. Webb misses away. Four game. First two games of this series have been tight. The Marlins have pulled out both of them. Hika and Choate. Now he's got 3-0 on Carroll, and you've got Ethier on deck. Now, even though Choate is in the pen ready for Ethier, the Marlins would much rather have Webb against Carroll. And it's called low. And DeMuth did not think that was a strike, and Ryan Webb here in the seventh is going to get the hook. So for the third consecutive game now, Randy Choate will be called upon to get Andre Ethier. He has struck him out the first two. See what happens here. Marooney called to the pen.
Truck go bad. Who you gonna call? Marooney!
him in the 7th. The Dodgers have a run. Game 1, we saw the matchup. Here's game 2 last night. Choate against Ethier.
Choate with that sidearm, almost submarine, froze him with the fastball. He's got the 2 pitches, the slider and the fastball. And it's basically a matter of him messing with left-handed hitters' minds as to which one he's going to go with.
Well, this is a good left-handed hitter, that's for sure. Andre Ethier, a 24-game hit streak.
Yeah, and not easy to face a guy 3 times in a row. Slider that time.
And a strike. It's 0-1. Those are the matchup numbers against Randy Choate. He struck him out on Monday night with a runner in scoring position in the 7th. 2 runners aboard here in the 7th. Didn't bite on that breaking ball.
It's almost as if you're Andre Ethier and you know you really have trouble with that slider. Do you just sit and wait and hope he throws that fastball one time?
Because the sliders that Choate has been able to get Ethier to swing at were not strikes. There is the fastball. It's chopped towards Gabby, who has it. Flips. Marlins get the out. 3 games in a row, Randy Choate's assignment has been Andre Ethier, and all 3 games he's passed the test.
In the 2nd inning, the Marlins put together a run of base hits. Stanton, Dobbs, how about Bonifacio? Bases loaded. Looked like Fred Hayes might have a grand slam off the wall about midway up. 1 run came in to score, and then Chris Codler with a huge 2-out bases clearing double. Trouble for the Marlins, though, and Anibal Sanchez. He hung a breaking ball to Rod Barajas, and quickly, just like that, the Dodgers got back in it to make it a 4-3 game. Sanchez worked just 5 innings, maybe because of his workload, his last time out, a 9-inning performance. And in the 7th inning, big pinch hit by Juan Uribe. That tied the game, and that's the way we are right now, 4-4. Another close, exciting ball game here in South Florida.
And of course, with Uribe's appearance, that knocked Chad Billingsley out of the ball game. So Blake Hawksworth takes over. He will face the 9 spot, and Scott Cousins will pinch hit. Then it's the top of the order, Chris Coghlan, Omar Infante.
Yeah, we've not seen Hawksworth yet in this series. Fastballs, curves, a change-up occasionally.
Cousins takes outside. Cousins helped get this homestand off to a good start in the opening series against the Pirates. His first major league home run, a grand slam, that finished off the Pirates 9-5 in the third game of that series. Marlins then beat the Rockies 2-3 and have taken the first two against the Dodgers. Hawksworth, this is down low with a changeup. 3-1.
Hawksworth out of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Cousins drives that one foul. Cousins out of San Francisco. In fact, he went to school, as they say in the Bay Area, on the hilltop at the University of San Francisco. Chris Coughlin, an Ole Miss Rebel, on deck. 3-2 now. Hawksworth dials up 97. Marlins have been good in close games this year. They are 5-1 in one-run games. That's best in the National League. They also have 10 come from behind wins, though they've not been behind in this ball game. That's second in the major leagues. The Rockies have the most, and on this homestand, our Toyota trend, 4 of the 7 wins have been come from behind wins.
This is one of those games that falls into the category, though, for the bullpen as a blown save. Tough one. Oh, there's a good changeup by Hawksworth.
Down goes Cousins for the first out. Full season ticket plans in the new Marlins ballpark available now. You can select your seats in the new ballpark. Be part of the future of Marlins baseball in Miami. Place a deposit today. Just call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters at 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com/new ballpark.
One of those pitches, by the way, that changeup that got Cousins, that when you're the on-deck hitter and you're also a left-handed hitter, you make a mental note of, because you haven't seen him before. You want to get an idea of how he pitches another left-handed hitter. And making it 3-2 tells you he likes it and that he'll use it any time.
Coughlin has driven in 11 runs on the homestand. 3-run double in the second. Shortens the bunt, and it's 2-0. His 8 games. Hensley in the bullpen, getting ready for the 8th inning.
Kind of had the feeling when this one started it would be a battle of the bullpens.
Don't think the Marlins were expecting to get to their bullpen as soon as they did. Anibal Sanchez lifted after 5, and there was a meeting in the dugout. Edwin Rodriguez, Randy St. Clair, Sanchez. 3-0 pitch. No indication that there was any type of injury or blister or anything like that. So we'll have to wait until after the ball game on Marlins Live.
And you wonder if there maybe even was a decision made before the game.
Because of his 123 pitch one hitter that he threw last time out. There's that changeup that he got Cousins on.
He threw a 3-1. Boy, now as a hitter you go, wow, struck Cousins out on a 3-2. He just threw me a 3-1 changeup. Problem is you can't guess changeup. 3-2.
Not when this guy's throwing 97. Coughlin hits it on the ground. Loney gets to the bag, and Hawksworth has the first 2 outs of the 7th inning.
And did get the changeup.
So Infante comes up.
I remember things kind of started like this the other night. with a couple of outs off Jonathan Broxton. So that was in the 9th inning. Broxton was trying to nail down a save, and the Marlins eventually scored 2 runs to win the game.
One and 0 to Omar Infante. This, of course, the first game out of the chute. The Cubs and the Rockies were supposed to be playing by now, but that game is delayed in Chicago.
And Cincinnati's at Milwaukee.
Solid drive, almost knocked Carroll over. Infante hit it on the button, but a 1-2-3 inning for Blake Hawksworth, 4-4.
Vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Over 16,000 here for a noon start, and a 4-4 game is in the 8th inning. Scott Cousins will stay in the ball game. Clay Hensley comes in, and the Marlins will make a double switch with Cousins staying in. Hensley is going to end up in Chris Coughlin's spot, in the leadoff spot, and Cousins will stay in the 9 position.
Hensley working for the 2nd time in this series. Came in, got a couple of outs last night in the 8th inning.
Matt Kemp, James Loney, Rod Barajas. Hensley misses up and in. Kemp a single and 2 trips. Dodgers did most of their damage in the 4th inning on a Rod Barajas 3-run homer. Singles by Andre Ethier and James Loney in front of the home run. The Braves and the Padres are about an hour away from starting down in San Diego. David Ross with a big night last night for Atlanta. Always remember last year when we had Jorge Cantu mic'd up and he came to the plate against the Braves and tapped David Ross on the shin pad. Said, "Are you a good player, David Ross?"
Yeah, Ross had a couple of home runs and 4 RBIs on a night off for Brian McCann.
Cantu had a chance to see that firsthand. He's with San Diego. Phillies in Arizona at 3:40. Roy Oswalt apparently has left the team for personal reasons. Phillies have dropped 2 in a row in that series, with the Diamondbacks showing signs of life. Mets and Nationals later on tonight. The Mets have won 5 in a row. Big breaking ball from Hensley, misses up. R.A. Dickey against Tom Gorzolani. Nationals have slipped a bit. They're 2 under. The Mets are 3 under. And the Giants, who won last night late in Pittsburgh, played tonight against the Pirates. And Hensley walks Matt Kemp. A leadoff walk here in a tie game in the 8th inning.
Not what you want to do, especially with a guy who can run a little bit in Kemp. Talked about last night for Hensley, one of the outs he got was Kemp. He got him on a ground ball to short, but not here today.
Now he sets his side on James Loney, who was 1 for 3. Kept 8 stolen bases and a strike from Hensley. Last year he had 19 stolen bases, but he was caught 15 times. With Davey Lopes around, the Dodgers hoping that percentage improves, and it should. Hensley to the plate, and Loney fouls it back, and it is 0-2.
What a big part of the Marlins bullpen Clay Hensley was last year, as he will be this year too. There's Matt Guerrier getting loose for the Dodgers.
Hensley, of course, one of those guys that had to come back from major surgery, missed the season, had to prove himself in the minor leagues. In fact, the Astros flat out released him in the minor leagues when the Marlins signed him. Spent 3/4 of his season at AAA with the Marlins, and then won a spot last year with a brilliant spring training camp and was indispensable in the pen.
Actually, in September 10th, picked up his first ever professional save. All the years coming up in the minor leagues with the Padres, and then went on as he replaced Leo Nunez at that point with 7 saves.
1-2 the count. Marlins pitch out, and Kemp's not going, and so Loney gets a 2-2 pitch here instead of the 1-2 pitch.
Good time for Kemp to run if he's thinking about it.
Not running, and Loney went after ball 3.
Because you know they're not going to pitch out again after 1 pitch out to make it 3-2. Loney kind of upset with himself, swinging at a pitch that was probably ball 3.
Rod Barajas is on deck. Kemp not running. Now it's 3-2.
And now he will be.
Kemp is running, and Loney takes. Hensley has walked the first 2 here in the 8th. And he has dug himself a hole in a tight game.
Very unlike Clay Hensley to come in and take 2 hitters, 3-2, and then lose both of them. And you're right, he's dug himself a big hole in a tie game.
Barajas, the 3-run homer, has also popped out and struck out. Aaron Miles is the next hitter. Let's see what the Dodgers are up to here. Hensley steps off.
More than likely, you're not going to see Barajas bunting. Talked about it the other night. He has such a lift in his swing. I mean, he's a good double play candidate. That he is going to bunt.
Or at least attempt to.
Yeah, don't be surprised, though, if that was a one-time thing. And that's why you have to be careful and don't groove the next pitch.
Just one double play this year. Edward Mujica is ready. Second time he's been up. Gabby and Dobbs at the corners even. Middle infield back for 2. With Kemp and Loney aboard. Bunting again.
Really surprised. I think on the road especially. You got a guy who just hit you a 3-run homer earlier in the game, and you're getting down to the bottom of the order and you're running out of pinch hitters. He's the one guy I think Mattingly would want to see swing the bat.
So with 2 strikes, Dobbs backs up. Gabby Sanchez backs up at the corners. Hensley to the plate. Breaking ball popped up. Dobbs over. And it's out of play.
And I think that's good news for Greg Dobbs. I'm not so sure he lost that. The way he has the glasses, he put his glove up to try to shield it, and I don't think he saw it anyway.
So Barajas saw an 0-2 breaking ball. A walk to Kemp and a walk to Loney. Clay Hensley here in the 8th. 0-2. Popped him up. Dobbs coming. He sees it and he makes a basket catch.
I guarantee he was hoping he didn't have another one like that. And guess what happened? He did get another one. This one stayed out of the sun, though. Not a real comfortable catch. I don't think he planned on making the basket catch, but he made it anyway.
Now you've got Miles, a pesky hitter who will put it in play. Not a guy that strikes out a lot. There's the workload for Hensley.
And we know when Clay Hensley is on, he spots that fastball really well and can snap off the good curve and uses the changeup to lefties and righties.
Remember, the Marlins have a good throwing arm in center field right now with Scott Cousins. He's in. Coughlin coming out in the switch with Hensley.
Bonifacio with a good arm in left, and he's not real deep with Miles, a hitter.
And that's where Miles likes to go from this side of the plate.
Good idea for Hensley. Looked like Kemp was trying to make him stop, and he just kept creeping off until Hensley gave him a little look.
Two and 0 to Miles. De Jesus is on deck. Mujica's ready. That was a pitch that Hayes had set up outside and had to reach across the plate.
Yeah, it's a struggle for Hensley this afternoon. One thing about a reliever, a starter can struggle one inning, he can get it back together. A reliever only has that one opportunity.
So Hensley, who had walked only 2 in 11 appearances, has walked 3 here in the 8th. DeJesus comes up. If you're the Marlin infield, are you back for 2? Well, they're all going to come in because
Edwin's going to go with a strike thrower in Edward Mujica.
And Mujica's going to come in a big spot in this game with the bags loaded and 1 out. Marlins haven't seen this out of Clay Hensley in a long, long time. Hensley struggling with his control. And he'll come out of the ball game. Mujica's in. It's 4-4. Bags loaded. A Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Has been their bullpen, best ERA in baseball, but not in this ball game. Penn gave up a run in the 7th to tie it. And Clay Hensley, who's usually a lockdown 8th inning guy, has walked the bases loaded with 1 out. Edward Mujica out of the bullpen, and he'll face Ivan DeJesus Jr., who is 1 for 2, with Marcus Timms on deck for the Dodgers.
And you do have the middle of the infield back for double play. The corner guys are coming home.
First pitch, ground ball, might be 2. Got 1 there. Got 2 there. Double play. 1 pitch, no problem. Mujica with Infante and Hanley turning it. And the bullpen pulls out of an 8th inning nosedive. 4-4 still. Edward Mujica and his middle infielders.
How about the turn of Hanley Ramirez? First, Mujica made a good pitch to get to Jesus, the youngster. They hit that ground ball. He almost deflects it. That would have been a no-no. But because he lets it go, there's the flip. And watch Hanley. Miles takes him out. Good clean slide. Flips Hanley a little bit. But Hanley Ramirez with a strong throw over to first base.
Watch him bring his feet up just as he releases. That's a sweet replay. And Hanley comes up to lead off the bottom of the 8th. And he goes after the first pitch and pops it up. To Jesus battling the sun. Makes the catch. Hanley going after a pitch in his eyes. Trying to give the Marlins a lead with one swing.
Yeah, the thing that Hanley has to be careful of now that we've seen him the last couple of games swing the bat a little bit better, is not try to make it all up in one game. And to just, okay, keep that same swing for the next month or so and get right back on track.
A strike. And it's 1-1. Hawksworth, in his second inning of relief, has retired all 4 that he's faced. Gabby's 0 for 3 with Mike Stanton on deck. Of course, Mike Stanton had a big home run late in the ballgame on Sunday to beat the Rockies. A 3-run shot. Two-one. That's been Hawksworth's best pitch. He's been able to change speeds off the 96, 97 mile an hour fastball.
Really gives that hitter a different look.
Change missed inside, so he's run the count full at 3-2. Beautiful. Able to spot the changeup. He tripled up on it.
It's one of those things, if you're an advanced scout, you start writing that down. Loves to use the changeup. Will double, triple up on it. Uses it to righties and lefties.
Mike Stanton now, who has walked, struck out, and singled. Hawksworth, originally drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, was in the Cardinal organization for 10 seasons. With the big club in 2009 and all of last year.
Flips a little breaking ball in there just to give you another look. I think right now Leo Nunez getting ready if the Marlins score. If the score remains tied, and we'll see Edward Mujica.
Chopper over the mound. Stanton on the move to Jesus' throw is in time. Loney picked it, and the inning is over. Dodgers bullpen's been outstanding. Hawksworth 2 scoreless innings, 4-4 to the 9th. And the Marlins go to their bullpen. It's Leo Nunez who comes in. Remember, Edward Mujica threw one pitch and got out of the 8th, and Nunez arrives for the 9th. The Marlins have gone deep into their pen in this ball game.
Yeah, Brian Sanchez, the only man standing down the bullpen. Really surprised at this, unless there's something we don't know with Edward Mujica, but he threw one pitch to get the double play. He's a guy that can give you more than one inning even. And all of a sudden, Edwin makes the move and brings in Nunez in a tie game. Very surprised.
Marcus Thames swings at the changeup, and quickly it's 0-2. Thames in the 9 spot. Then you've got Gwynn and Jamie Carroll coming up for the Dodgers. We talked about Thames, a home run hitter in his career at a prolific rate of about 15.5 at bats per home run. Had a 3-year stretch in Detroit where he hit 24, 25, 26 homers.
We'll have to pick the brain of Edwin Rodriguez after this game. There's the only pitcher standing in the bullpen, Brian Sanchez.
Nunez strikes out Thames. Of course, Nunez is a guy, too, and is protected in the lineup right now, that if he has a quick inning here, he could come out and pitch the 10th.
Tell you what, the last 2 saves for Leo Nunez in the ball game last night, I believe he threw 11 pitches, 10 strikes, and his save before, he threw 8 pitches, 7 strikes. So he's been around the strike zone and in the strike zone a lot.
Here's Tony Gwynn Jr., which is night and day from the Nunez the Marlins have seen. He had a tendency last year, even early this year, to run up a pretty high pitch count just in a 1-inning save.
Yeah, and I say in the strike zone with good stuff, too, with the slider that we've seen and a good fastball and changeup.
Misses out. Ball and a strike. If you've just happened by, if you're just getting home from work, the Marlins and the Dodgers in a 4-4 ball game in the 9th. One and 2.
And if you just got home from work, you went in real early today, too.
Or if you're on the West Coast, maybe you just got home for lunch. Of course, if you're out in Hawaii, you just saw the sunrise, and you're on the beach. Probably not even thinking about baseball.
It's amazing. There are probably people in Hawaii, though, thinking about baseball.
Two and 2 to Gwynn. There's the slider, and we saw him use that slider last night in finishing the ball game.
And he hasn't used it a lot to left-handed hitters, so a little bit of a breakout surprise there to Gwynn. You know, in Los Angeles, we could have called this a brunch with the Marlins and Dodgers.
Good live fastball. Stays at 2 and 2. Dodgers a game under 500. And the Marlins 8 over. Gwynn battling. 2-2 pitch. Floats outside. The Marlins bullpen has not been sharp in this game. Ryan Webb gave up a run in the 7th. Clay Hensley walked the bases loaded and had to get bailed out by Edward Mujica in the 8th. There's a ground ball Infante's way. And the smooth fielding second baseman fires over to first. Talked to Infante the other day, and he said this is the first time since he thought 2004 where he has played one position every day, and that's it.
It makes a difference, too. And I know it has with him.
And we had John DeJuan of the Fielding Bible on the other day, and he was talking about the premium utility defenders, and we were talking about Bonifacio, and he brought Infante's name up because of Infante's history with both Detroit and Atlanta and his ability to play well all over the place.
Omar Infante has started every position in the major leagues except first base, catcher, and pitcher.
Liner to center. Cousins is out there, and he makes the catch. Jamie Carroll hit it on the button. Leo Nunez, 14 pitches in the ninth. Late inning heroics for the Marlins on this homestand. The home run by Stanton beating the Rockies in the bottom of the eighth. And of course Infante's drive to beat the Dodgers on Monday night. Wins in the last at bats. The Marlins have had their share. They'd love to add to it here in a 4-4 game with the Dodgers in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Right now the Dodgers bullpen in a little better shape. Matt Guerrero becomes the third Dodger pitcher this afternoon. Guerrero for the last 5-6 years has been a big part of the Minnesota Twins bullpen. He's a guy who has good command of all four pitches and can give you multiple innings out of the bullpen, signed as a free agent by LA.
He's one of those guys whose name is not a household name throughout baseball, but has been a very durable and dependable arm since 2009. He is second in all of baseball in holds behind Luke Gregerson. The middle relievers are the offensive linemen of baseball.
Yeah, that's kind of a term that only an arbiter would be interested in. The hold. And of course your agent.
Well, Sanchez is getting loose, and he's the last guy that the Marlins have out of the bullpen. Little pop up down the line, and it lands foul. There is a day off for the Marlins tomorrow. And I suspect, though we don't know this for truth, that whoever's day it was to throw on the side as a starting pitcher has already thrown. 0-2 is in the dirt.
Maybe, given the fact that it was such an early start today.
You never know.
They might have been held back.
The Marlins have burned through their bullpen. Dunn first, then Webb. Dunn was good, Webb not so much. Choate got one out. Hensley struggled. Mojica threw one pitch, got a double play ball. Nunez just worked to 1, 2, 3, 9.
If the Marlins win this in an inning or two, there won't be a whole lot said about it. But if they don't, and it goes deeper into extra innings, the question will be, Mojica, why just one pitch in a tie game and bringing Nunez in to pitch the top of the 9th inning? Why not go back out there with Mojica?
Saw that check swing was close. Doug Eddings, the third base umpire, said no swing, so Dobbs is still alive at 2-2.
I like Eddings. I think he's been on the hitter's side today.
Dobbs has walked twice and singled. And he stays alive on that breaking ball. Bonifacio will follow, and Hayes behind him. Now, that trio has done a pretty nice job at the bottom of the order. Dobbs has been on base all 3 times. Bonifacio has a single and a run scored. Hayes has a single and a run scored, and he's driven in a run.
You realize the Marlins have 5 hits, and they all came in the 2nd inning.
There's a drive into center field. There's
all
a base
I needed
hit.
to say. That's all I needed to say.
And Greg Dobbs continues a very nice month of April for the Marlins. And Ozzie Martinez is going to run for Dobbs. Good day for Dobbs. 2 walks, 2 hits. You get some speed out there with Ozzie. And now you come into that spot, Tommy, with Bonifacio, who is not a good bunter when he is sacrificing. He's a much better bunter when he's looking for a hit.
And you want to tell him, and I know he's been told, if it is a sacrifice situation, just approach it like you're bunting for a base hit.
Which is the exact opposite anybody ever preaches to a bunter.
Dobbs, by the way, today, Rich, saw 29 pitches in his 4 at-bats.
That's what Bonifacio is doing against Guerrier. Miles creeping in at third.
Yeah, pitcher will do that to see if the hitter tips his hand.
Shortens the bunt, drops it down. It's a good bunt. Miles overruns it. And everybody is safe.
And here come the Marlins again.
That was going to be a tough play had Miles picked it cleanly because Bonifacio runs so well.
Miles was going so hard and still had a lot of momentum when he got to the ball. I don't think he makes a play. He might. And we'll see how it's ruled. But a good job by Bonifacio to get the bunt down in that area. Would have been a real difficult play. His momentum would have taken him near the line, and he would have had to throw it across or on the inside of the bag. That would have been a tough play. I say base hit. We'll have to see. And it is a base hit.
So a bunt single, and now you've got Brett Hayes up there. Let's see if he is bunting.
Remember, you have the pitcher batting in the leadoff spot.
And that's behind Cousins, who's on deck. Hayes 1 for 3. Got good speed with Ozzie at second and Bonifacio at first. Hayes looks to bunt and takes. It's 1-0. Joe Espada at third base. Dodger outfield very shallow, especially in center with Kemp. There's a look at Cousins.
In case you're checking your scorecard, you look ahead at, okay, a successful bunt. They'll probably walk Cousins. You have John Buck, Wes Helms, Donnie Murphy available.
Hayes takes down low, but Guerrier has to throw strikes first.
And if Guerrier cannot throw a strike, he'll have to deal with Scott Cousins with the bases loaded. And by the way, my guess would be Wes Helms if it gets to that, but John Buck's ready to go.
Well, you know, Helms and Murphy and Buck have spent the last 20 minutes back in the cage.
Talking about Guerrier, who I'm sure Buck has seen a lot more.
Guerrier with the Twins, Buck with the Blue Jays and the Royals. Ooh, that almost was a disaster for Hayes, who popped the bunt up, and now it's 2-1. And the Dodgers had the crash play on with Miles coming and Carroll, the shortstop, rotating over to third base. It's an interesting spot for Hayes, who hasn't had a whole lot of at-bats this year, the backup catcher. Looks like they're going to rotate it again. Drops down the bunt, and it's gorgeous. Miles has to go to first.
You can't get better bite if you use the 56-degree wedge and had a Bellata ball. Unbelievable. Look at this job.
Look how close Miles is.
And the ball just dies as it hits the grass. The only play for Miles is first base. Nicely done, Brett Hayes.
So let's see what the Dodgers do. If they walk Cousins, John Buck is on deck. Infield is in, outfield is very shallow.
Of course, not a lot of opportunities, but that was the first sacrifice bunt in the career of Brett Hayes. And it was a beauty.
Looks like they are going to pitch to Cousins. Bonifacio at second, Ozzie the winning run at third. Remember the first hit for Scott Cousins after Logan Morrison got hit on deck. Cousins had to come up and pinch hit, and he walked off against the Braves last year. But he's in the hole right now, 0-1. This is Cousins' second at bat of the game. He struck out in his first. Flips one foul, and now Guerrier is out in front, 0-2.
Outfield is shallow. You have to be able to throw a runner out at the plate. I'll tell you what, the center fielder Matt Kemp is very shallow, and he has a strong arm.
So now Cousins has just got to be in a contact mode.
And it is John Buck on deck. John Buck with the 14 career at bats against Guerrier, 3 for 14.
0-2, time call. Barajas is the one that called it. Bottom of the ninth. There's the winning run. 90 feet away. 0-2 coming. In the dirt, and Barajas smothers. 1-2. Cousins has seen nothing but the breakers.
I think because of the rookie status and not a lot of playing time of Scott Cousins, that's why the Dodgers, even though he's a lefty, have decided to go after him in this situation.
Let's see what he gets. 1-2. Breaking ball and a beauty. And Guerrier strikes out Cousins.
Well, we told you Guerrier with command of all 4 pitches dropped a beauty on Scott Cousins right there. Able to do that once he got ahead, and with 2 strikes, put him away with a good curveball.
So it's Buck now who makes a rare pinch hitting appearance. This is Leo Nunez's spot. So if the Marlins don't end it here, Brian Sanchez is the last man standing in the pen. Buck against Guerrier.
Yeah, John Buck for the first time this year making a pinch hit appearance.
Little slider for a strike, 0-1.
Not a lot of success off the bench, and we told you 3 for 14 in his career against Guerrier.
Oh, 1 pitch. And Barajas has a lot of pressure on him, and he has responded by smothering everything in the dirt.
Of course, with 2 out now, the outfield has moved back, all 3 outfielders.
One. Buck on the ground. Carroll to first. Extra innings. The Marlins had their chance. Guerrier shuts the door. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jack Link's Beef Jerky, the official sponsor of Extra Innings. 10th inning has arrived, and the Marlins have some issues here. This is the last reliever they have in Brian Sanchez. Sanchez, who has been brilliant this year, will come on in the 10th, and he'll get the teeth of the order for the Dodgers. Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, and James Loney. Marlins had their opportunity against Matt Guerrier. Ozzie Martinez stays in the ball game, and Ozzie's at third base. That's Greg Dobbs' spot.
Yeah, you get that opportunity with 1 down. The key at bat in that inning was the at bat of Scott Cousins, and he saw some good pitches from Guerrier. And now it's up to Brian Sanchez.
You know, a lot of this goes back to the fact that Anibal Sanchez lasted just 5 innings, and he left after throwing only 73 pitches. And it's still no word as to why he was lifted, whether it was fatigue, whether they saw a drop in velocity.
Yeah, there was no injury. We would have heard something about that.
But since then, the Marlins have run through their bullpen. Mike Dunn, Ryan Webb, Randy Choate, Clay Hensley, Edward Mujica, Leo Nunez, and now Sanchez against Ethier. Ethier is 1 for 4. You got Kemp, who was 1 for 3, and Loney has a hit in 3 trips as well.
So right now, no pitchers left and no catcher left.
Sanchez with the split, but he says it's more of a fork ball. It's not a split-fingered fastball that comes in at 87 and tumbles.
Yeah, he throws it at a couple of different speeds. That's the fork piece.
That fork piece has hit a long ways to right field. Stanton back, looking, gone. Andre Ethier, his 3rd, and the Dodgers take the lead.
And the first run allowed this year by Brian Sanchez. Brian Sanchez came into this appearance 13 2/3 innings. He'd given up just 1 base hit. Second base hit. This is that fork ball that just doesn't dive. Stays out over the plate, and Ether takes care of it.
And so now here is Kemp. And a strike to the Dodgers center fielder. Dodgers have a couple homers in this ball game. Barajas a 3-run shot, and now Ethier a solo. Sanchez misses outside. Ball and a strike. Remember, after Monday night's blown save, we were told that Jonathan Broxton was still the closer, but he was not available last night. Maybe last night has stretched into today because Padilla is up now. And Sanchez almost hits Kemp. There's Broxton. Don Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt yesterday before the ball game had a meeting with Broxton and told him that he is still the closer, despite some media reports that the Dodgers were going to go closer by committee. Padilla is a guy that very rarely has been in the position to try to save a game.
The last time Padilla had a major league save was in 2000 with the Phillies. He had a couple. That's all he has in his career.
That's strike 3. I think Kemp was sitting on a fork ball. So Sanchez gets a strikeout. He sets his sights on Loney with Barajas right behind him. That sounded like a Matt Kemp in the dugout. A little frustration. Now Loney, who walked his last time up. Even though the Dodgers did not get a run in the 8th inning, the walks that Hensley issued were costly because it forced the Marlins to bring in Mujica. He finished the inning. Nunez pitched a clean 9th. Sanchez gets a strike. It's 1-1, and Sanchez has come on to pitch the 10th. It's a game of missed opportunities for both teams. The Dodgers had that bases loaded shot in the 8th. The Marlins first and second, nobody out, and second and third and 1 out in the bottom of the 9th.
And the Marlins offense, we talked about the 5 hits in the 2nd inning, and it took to the 9th inning to put together a couple of more base hits.
Loney sitting on a 2-1 pitch. Fastball. That may have been the one-seamer that Sanchez throws.
Runs it in on lefties.
Yeah, it's a variation of a 2-seam fastball. He kind of spins the ball in his fingers and just lines up a finger on one seam. Pop up, Hayes fights the sun and makes the play. They'll bring Barajas to the plate. He of the 3-run homer in the 4th inning. They postponed the game in Chicago. The Rockies and the Cubs have been postponed. And the Reds are on top of the Brewers 6-4 in the 6th. It's in Milwaukee. Braves and Padres almost underway in San Diego. Tommy Hanson, Matt Latos. Latos has yet to duplicate his terrific season last year. He's 0-3 with a 5.94 ERA. Of course, a local guy at Coconut Creek. Gabby Sanchez calls for it. The Marlins find themselves down a run, going to the bottom of the 10th. With the Dodgers up now, 5-4. With an Andre Ethier home run, they have taken the lead into the bottom of the 10th inning. Jonathan Broxton blew a save in Game 1 of this series. He was to be given last night off, but told he was still the closer. But it's Vicente Padilla, surprisingly, that comes out of the Dodger bullpen. And the veteran right-hander, more accustomed to starting games than finishing them, will try to finish this one. Omar Infante, Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez, 2, 3, 4 in the Marlins order.
Yeah, Padilla primarily a starting pitcher in his long career, a number of years where he's gone over 200 innings. 14-game winner, a couple of years with the Phillies, 115 with the Rangers. And as I mentioned, his last saves, he had 2 in 2000 with Philadelphia.
Now, it was Padilla who pitched before Broxton on Monday night. He threw an inning, and the Marlins scored a run against him. He gave up 2 hits and a walk. Chris Coughlin and Gabby Sanchez had the hits.
And no Broxton. Lance Cormier throwing in the bullpen. This is the part of the order you want to see, though, with Infante, Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez, and if it gets to it, Mike Stanton to follow.
Infante has hit the ball hard his last 2 times up. Line to left and line to short. So here we go. Padilla trying to save it for the Dodgers in the 10th. This is up. Career numbers against Padilla.
Mentioned this trio, Infante, Ramirez, and Sanchez, you like to see up, but they're 0 for 12 today.
2-1. A chopper at short. Carroll's throw is in time. Ever since making that error in Game 1, Jamie Carroll is back to his old self, making all the plays at short.
Well, the key to making that play for Jamie Carroll, he got to it after that one hop. If it gets on the ground one more time, Infante has a good chance to get himself an infield hit. But a good jump by Carroll to get to it on that high hop.
Now Hanley Ramirez, who was popped out twice, actually popped out 3 times and bounced out. Padilla gets a strike. Hanley seemingly out of his slump yesterday with 2 hits after a big pinch hit in game 1. But a struggle for him today. Ball and a strike. Gabby Sanchez on deck. High chopper, Miles. And the Dodgers need just an out to escape with a win and salvage a game of this 3-game series. Padilla, who was the opening day starter for the Dodgers last year. Coming back from surgery, easing back in with the Dodgers, finds himself trying to close this game in the 10th.
Yeah, how about that for a turnaround? Opening day starter. Now this year he finds himself in a closing role.
Nicaraguan right-hander. 0-1. Out in front of Gabby, 0-2. Fastball, ground ball, up the middle. Wow, De Jesus, what a play, and the Dodgers win it. Ivan De Jesus Jr. with a spinning play out behind second. And there's no late inning magic for the Marlins. Vicente Padilla, his first save in the big leagues since 2000.
Well, he got some nice help from his second baseman on a nifty play to get Gabby Sanchez, but an interesting game. There were opportunities for both sides to open things up, and this time, first time in this series, the Marlins take it 5-4 in 10 innings.
And the Dodger bullpen better than the Marlin bullpen in this one. 5-4 the final. The Dodgers salvage a game of this 3-game series. Still a terrific homestand for the Fish. But the Dodgers win it on the Andre Ethier homer.